Welcome to Footy Centre Podcast Series.
Welcome back to FC Pitchside Podcast, your weekly home for all things football, from the Premier League to the global game. I'm your host, Thierry Nyan, and today's episode is bursting with drama, dominance, and destiny. Now, Arsenal continue to march like a well-oiled machine, brushing aside Newcastle United to tighten their grip on second, but the Magpies still perch in third, wings slightly ruffled by very much in the fight. Chelsea, meanwhile, stormed past Manchester United in the clash that felt more like a street brawl than a chess match. And just one match day left, the Champions League race is turning into a photo finish. Over in Spain, the confetti is falling in Barcelona as they are officially crowned La Liga champions. Real Madrid, once kings of the mountain, now find themselves back at base camp, needing to regroup and climb again next season. In Germany, Harry Kane has finally broken free from the silverware shackles, lifting a trophy and taking home the top scorer crown. A golden season at long last. Back in France, Ligue 1 might just rewrite the rule book when it comes to crowning its champions, and we are breaking down what those changes could mean for the future. Plus, all eyes turn to the international stage as Carlo Ancelotti prepares to steer the Brazil national team, but he is ready to navigate the pressure of the Cuca, of expectation. Or is he? And finally, is it time the football world gives Simone Inzaghi his flowers? Inter Milan's engine is rowing and he is the man behind the wheel. Stick around. Stories, insights, and the hottest takes in the game are coming your way. This is FC Pitchside Podcast. Let's kick things off. But remember, before we do that, please subscribe to our channel if you are watching this on YouTube. Like the video and share to your friends and family. Also, you can follow us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts if you're listening on those platforms as well. And please leave us a 5-star rating. I'm not going to be doing this alone. I'll be doing this with Jonathan Mensah, a pro footballer who always joins us here on FC Pitchside Podcast. Jonathan, you're welcome.
Thank you so much for having me once again.
Fabulous. And also here with Michael Akomia. Michael, you're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Great. Now we'll go straight into what the action for the day is. And what I think is good if we start with Manchester City and Pep Guardiola. It's not gone well, guys. It's not gone well. It's not gone well. The season has gone from bad to worse. We all thought they might be reclaiming some glory as they got into the FA Cup final. But even that was still not enough, because at the very end of it all, they have still lost silverware to Crystal Palace. A trophyless season. Did we see this coming? Even in the most turbulent seasons, did you see it coming? I'll start with you, Akomia.
Yes, Thierry, I think Pep Guardiola is actually facing his first real rebuild, especially when it comes to coaching the specific club. At FC Barcelona, the basics of the team and the foundation of the team was actually laid before he joined. You look at the likes of Lionel Messi being in that particular team. You still have Xavi Hernandez, you have Andres Iniesta. He just needed to add players like Sergio Busquets and some one or two guys to make sure that they blend well with the crop of players that won the UEFA Champions League and a Frank Rijkaard, to do something better and make sure that they win enough trophies. At Bayern Munich, the same thing also happened. And you will talk about adding players like Joshua Kimmich to this particular setup. You already have Philip Lahm, a host of top players within the Bayern Munich team, to give him the results that he actually wants. Now, at Manchester City, he came to meet a specific crop of players, a specific spine of the team, which he needed to deal with and make sure that he add one or two touches to it. And I think, first of all, in the transfer market, he brought in one or two players that could not fit what he wanted to do. So you could see Nolito join at some point in time and he left. Joe Hart had to leave for Claudio Bravo to come in. Claudio Bravo comes in and it doesn't work out. He needs to go into the market again and get another goalkeeper in Edison Morales. So you look at whatever that he did at Manchester City earlier on, it was all about fine-tuning whatever Manchester City had established as its foundation some time ago. That is when the work was not actually quite pressuring like it is now. But as it stands, he needs to rebuild a whole Manchester City team because they've lost proper spine of the team, some key players, some top players. You look at players like Kevin De Bruyne, who is aging in this particular setup. Kyle Walker has already left and he needs to replace Kyle Walker. They will need to do a lot of replacement at their backline because you look at the age of Ruben Diaz and they will need to do a new reinforcement. I know they went into the market for players like Kusanov, Mamouche. Most of these guys came in for huge amounts of money.
Right.
But sometimes adaptation is key. And I strongly believe that it's going to take time for Guardiola to see his players adapt to the system as it stands now, looking at the aging squad of these Manchester City players and how he needs to rebuild a new crop of team for Manchester City to be consistent in the next few years.
Right. But when you also consider the fact that Pep Guardiola, for a serial winner that he is, Jonathan Mensah, when you look at everything that he's done, in football, how has he not been able to revive Manchester City's season? Because the slump didn't start a month before the season ends. It started about 6 months back. How has he not been able to arrest the season that they are fighting for Champions League spots? They fell early in the knockout stages of the UEFA Champions League. They managed to get into the FA Cup final, but have lost it. They lost in the knockout stages of the Carabao Cup as well. Basically, everything has gone from bad to worse for City this season. How has Guardiola not been able to solve this?
Yeah. So a lot of teams have studied the way he plays with his teams, and teams are evolving. I heard a comment from the Crystal Palace coach talking about if they play the same way in the finals, they're going to solve it, and I believe they did. To go through this season with the up and downs, with the injuries and all that, a lot of teams have figured him out, and also tackling the way, like Akumiya said earlier, I couldn't have agreed more. The players are growing the way he wants to play, requires a lot of energy, running up and down. The counter press isn't there as it used to be. They used to play a high line where you had Kyle Walker that would break plays and all that. You don't have that speed anymore. So it's always going to be difficult where you have, some great young players up front, but the back line needs to need some reinforcement. So hopefully going forward, they're going to do some few recruitments that can replace, the likes of De Bruyne, giving you everything going forward. And then, in the back line, you have someone that can kill plays like Kyle Walker used to do.
That's interesting. But also, let's give Crystal Palace their flowers because they have done
Mm-hmm.
an amazing
Yeah.
job. Winning a first trophy in so many years. The chairman, Steve
Yeah.
Parish, was at Wembley yesterday, and you could see how nervous he was. The fans in the last few minutes, when 10 minutes was added to as stoppage time, the fans just could not believe it. They were in so much stress. Nothing was going on for them at that point because Man City was just like piling a lot of pressure. But I thought they also handled the day very well. They handled the game very well, and it looks like it's a kind of season that the underdogs really have to get something home because Newcastle also won the Carabao Cup for the first time in so many years, and Crystal Palace have also lifted the FA Cup. Akumia.
Yes, I think it turns out to be the year for the underdogs and actually teams that haven't won trophies for a long period of time. I think the next ones to look out for is going to be the Champions League and the Europa League.
Right.
If Paris Saint-Germain is going to win their first European title in a long period of time, or we are going to see Tottenham Hotspur lift a trophy for these number of years. I think this is good for football. Normally, when these things happen, it brings some sort of reset into the system where the old guns would need to do things afresh, buy new players, re-strategize, and come back into the seasons and try and dominate like they used to be. Football needs such moments. We can't be static with one team winning always the time. Sometimes there's a need for a breath of fresh air for other teams to come into the mix and make their supporters quite happy by winning new trophies or winning trophies that will excite the world.
And that's exactly what Oliver Glasner has done for Crystal Palace and, so many players there. What pains me, though, is Jordan, you missed out on this. He left Crystal Palace just a year before they won a trophy. Going to Leicester City, that have been extremely miserable this year. But I'm pretty sure next week we are going to be summing up the performances of Ghanaian players, especially in the English Premier League. We'll also look at several other leagues and see how our fellow Ghanaians are doing. There, we'll critique those that need to be criticized, and we'll praise those that need to be praised. But we are basically just going to be summing up what the season have been for some of these guys, playing where they are playing. But maybe it's just about time that we look at what the English Premier League also it's is giving us, because as we stand, Newcastle are still in pole position. But before I do that, let me just try and run through what the results have been for the teams that are fighting for the top six. I would say are yet to play their game, but Arsenal beat Newcastle United, so that's second against third earlier today. And of course, viewer and listener, please know that we're recording this on Sunday, and as at the time we're recording this, Liverpool haven't played their game, but Newcastle United have lost to Arsenal by a goal to nil. Manchester United, who are not in the top six race, but they played against a top six chasing team, which is Chelsea at Stamford Bridge, and Chelsea won by a goal to nil. We'll discuss that. We also have to look at Aston Villa also winning their game to keep up with what's happening in the race. It looks like a very, very interesting race. Manchester City will play against Bournemouth, I believe, and that could also change what the standings look like, because it's so tight. It's either the same points or just 1 point off, and anybody who wins or drop points can either climb or fall, and it's really, really interesting there. Akomia, maybe you've looked at the standings. I'll start with you first before I go to Jonathan.
Yes, I think it's quite open now, and we have to look at how it will turn out in the last games to find out who's going to qualify for the Champions League. I just even realized that Manchester City can actually miss out on the Champions League place game.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah, and
that's how close it is.
yes, and they are playing Bournemouth, I think on Tuesday, and
Yeah,
that is also another game to look out
and
for.
they
Looking
play
at
Fulham afterwards on
and
final
they
day,
play
and those are
Fulham,
crucial
yes,
games.
and that is also another crucial game. So I think the Bournemouth game is actually going to decide if City is going to qualify for the Champions League or not. For Chelsea and Nottingham Forest, it will be decided between the two of them at the City grounds when they meet for the last game next week, Sunday. Then when you look at teams like Aston Villa, I would say that if Manchester United should win the Europa League or even lose, there's going to be a psychological impact on that particular game against
Because
Aston Villa.
actually, it's interesting I mentioned this, because they play after the Europa League final, right?
Yes. So
But
if
but
Manchester
but,
United
but
should
I mean,
win,
per everything we've seen of Manchester United, though, is it not also possible that Man United win that Europa League, and knowing that the season is already gone for the Premier League, they failed some young players. Nobody really cares about what happens in that game.
I think even when they lose, it's actually going to play out again, and they are going to suffer against Aston Villa. They've not been so much flamboyant against Premier League sides this season, and you look at how abysmal they've been in terms of defending and playing out so well and scoring a lot of chances. And then you begin to question how they are going to play against Aston Villa and get a result, no matter what happens in the Europa League. I think for that Aston Villa game, Aston Villa is having more or less like 60 or 70% chance of winning that game against Manchester United. Chelsea
Okay.
will lock on to Nottingham Forest, try and see if they can qualify from that game. And I think City's qualification will be determined by the kind of results they get against Bournemouth, not Fulham. Because if they are supposed to win against Bournemouth, they move to 68 points, meaning they will need a draw. There will be less pressure on them against Fulham to deliver results at the end of the day to get a qualification for Europe. But when you look at Newcastle, they will also be playing home comfortably. And at home for Newcastle, I don't think they are really going to lose. So the real battle
But it's
is
against
going to.
Everton, and Everton are dangerous. It's David
Yes, I know
Moyes.
Everton are dangerous, but I think for a last game, Newcastle at home, the atmosphere, the energy. I've seen them play against top sides at home this season, and they are
And they
so.
lost tonight.
Yes, and they lost tonight.
Tonight.
Yes, and they lost tonight away to Arsenal, but at home they are so strong. They press so well. They create a lot of chances, and they find ways and means to win games. And we saw their game against Chelsea. We saw the
Yeah.
first 5 minutes to 10 minutes how they played. They were solid enough to create enough openings to get their goals. So the real battle is going to be between Chelsea and Nottingham Forest, who gets the nod. For Aston Villa, I'll give them 70%. For Newcastle, I'll give them 70% to win their game. For Manchester City, we'll have to wait for the Bournemouth game. But for Chelsea and Nottingham, that is where the real battle lies.
Jonathan, when you look at the permutations for those who are likely to qualify for the Champions
Hmm.
League. I think that it's when you look at the standings, Newcastle third, sorry, Chelsea are fourth, Aston Villa fifth, Manchester City sixth, Nottingham Forest seventh, and it's 66 for Newcastle who are third,
Hmm.
and 65 for Nottingham Forest who are seventh. That's 1 point.
Hmm.
So anything
Yeah,
can happen really in that in this final week of the Premier League season. What are you expecting?
I believe going into the last game of the season, especially when you're playing at home, you want to win for your fans. You want to send them home with something to
Right.
cheer for. So the guys that are fighting for either Champions League or Europa League, you want to give them the best performance yet. Making sure that you don't, obviously talking of two teams that are in the finals, Spurs and Manchester United, they are not in the in the top 10 actually. So they are fighting their
Oh
own
my
battles.
God,
But the
Manchester
guys that
United.
are playing for Europe, they got so much on the line. So the likes of Man City, I agree with what Akumia said. They need to win that game at home against Bournemouth, and then the last day they can take care of business against Fulham as well. But before that, they need to win at home against Bournemouth. Chelsea against Nottingham Forest. Whoever wins that game makes it to Europe. So now the top two is already decided. The guys, underneath them now need to fight for themselves. Newcastle at home, I don't think they will drop points. So
Mm,
it's going to be interesting last day, and we will see who goes through.
right. But also it's interesting that you mentioned Manchester United because I saw a stat that said that their defeat to Chelsea means that they have not won 2 games continuously this season. Their longest winning streak is 1 game. And it is
Wow.
only the third time in the history of Manchester United in 1921 and in 1992, 91, I think, something like that. No, 90 between 94 or something, 93, 94. But it just goes to show you just how terrible the season has been for Manchester United. And I wish we'll have a special episode for Man United so we can discuss what the problems have been at Old Trafford because it's not happened for them this season. Akomia, you're a United
Yeah.
fan, so in 30 seconds, break it down for me. What exactly? How can a team so great, so called the richest club in the world, so called the most popular club in the world, be so
Yeah.
poor? It's terrible.
Right now. Right now.
I just don't know how
It's
to
not just right now.
describe the
It
team.
started 15 years ago.
It's
At
quite
least.
frustrating.
Okay.
It's quite
Go ahead,
frustrating,
Akumia. Go ahead.
yes, and embarrassing to see Manchester United moving in and around 15 to 16 to 17.
Bro. Don't mention 15th. The last time you 15th was like 2 months ago. You are now 16th and 17th.
I think they stopped playing the league long time ago. Their interest in the Premier League went down long time ago, and I think reality is also dawning upon the team as to the kind of recruitment they've done over the years
Right.
and how they've
Mhm.
mismanaged the club from top to down. And so
Mm.
we are seeing the true reflection of certain errors they've done since Alex Ferguson retired, and I think they are going to pay for it for a number of years before they come back. There are levels to rebuilding a team, and I think there was one time I learned about 5 stages of rebuilding a club. And
Mm.
I think where Manchester United finds itself right now is the crumbling of an empire. The empire is down, it's just down. They'll need to take their time, restructure things, and rebuild stuff before they can get to the right manager effect standard where they can get their results and win trophies.
That's interesting that you mentioned that, but
I
also
agree with that. I
you
agree
agree.
with
Okay.
that.
Mm.
And then talk of like you said, talking of the coach instilling in the team what the team want to look like. But talk of what goes on behind the scenes. Obviously, we remember the comments Cristiano made about things that
Right.
goes on in the
Right.
club. Things haven't changed and things need to improve. I believe they need to do all that in order to get that Manchester we used to watch to back to the glory days.
All right, but also note that still in the English Premier League, if I'm right, Everton have played their final game at the Goodison Park before they move on to their new stadium, and it was a 2-0 win over Southampton, who are also relegated. But also, no, it is also the ground. I just found out it's also the only ground that Pele lost the only FIFA World Cup match. And it was a 3-1 loss to Portugal. That is his only loss in the World Cup, and it happened at the Goodison Park. So it is definitely fabled for a lot of great stories in football, but they now depart that particular ground. West Ham United also lost at home to Nottingham Forest by 2-1. Fulham also beat Brentford away from home by 3-2. Leicester City beat Ipswich by 2-0. Now, on this particular game, Jamie Vardy scored his 200th Leicester City goal in a farewell win. The 38-year-old believes that he can still play at the very top. We do not know what he means by that, and what his career is going to look like going forward. But let's move away from all of this, and we'll be looking at the La Liga now, because we know, I mean, we've known for some time now that Barcelona, are the champions, or will be champions of the La Liga, but it was crowned a few days ago before their defeat to Villarreal earlier today on Sunday, but it was already confirmed. Even in defeat, they were still celebrating. The confetti has been pouring on the Catalonia club for a while now. Jonah, I'll start with you this time. We all know Lamine Yamal, Rafinha, Lewandowski, Ferran Torres, Olmo, all the great guys in there are going to be celebrating a La Liga title. But after it happened, what was your take on that, and their season overall?
We knew they were going to win the
Right.
league when Real Madrid dropped some points. Of course, they beat them in the Clasico, and they've had a great season. Obviously, with a new manager coming in, they didn't look any different. They went out and took care of business with a lot of young talent showing what they got. And their golden boy played some of the best football,
Mm.
and a couple of the other young players. They have Pedri. Oh my God, what else do you want me to say? Players like that with such talent at this young age, they just unbelievable to watch. For a player like Tony Cruz, commenting about, you watch, we all see the highlights from Yamin, Lamine, and then you forget Pedri for a little bit. But if you watch the game carefully, you see what Pedri does is unbelievable. So great season they've had, and kudos to the whole team.
Akomia,
Yes, Theory.
we've seen we've seen Yamal play exhilarating football, but he's in a league that boasts a lot of superstars like Vinicius Junior, Jude Bellingham, Kylian Mbappe, Rafinha. People say Yamal is the best player in the world. What do you say to that?
I think for what he's doing at his age, I will likely go with people speaking about him being the best player in the world as it stands. Let's see how the season actually turns out, especially for the others who will be vying with him for the Ballon d'Or award. He does things with the ball that I actually feel like this guy is too young to be doing these things with with the kind of things that I'm seeing. And then at the end of the day, you realize the quality that he actually gives you to make sure that you get your results. He has been superb for Barcelona. He has played a massive role in how they are dominating the league and how they won the Copa del Rey. Big ups to him, and I believe he'll go on to become one of the best footballers we've seen over the years.
Fantastic. Do you also agree, Jonathan Mensah? Do you think his time is now or his time is later? Yamal, I mean.
Oh, it's now. Like he won the Euros, he won the Copa del Rey, he won the La Liga title. Yeah, he's winning a couple of individual awards as well. So I believe the time is now. There's a saying in our where we from: if you old enough, if you're good enough, you old enough.
Right.
Yeah. So he's showing this at this age. I think there's more to come, and we're excited to see.
I cannot wait to see what the Lamine Yamal era is going to look like. But what we also know is that Ancelotti is going to be leaving, Real Madrid, and is going to be leaving La Liga. And the reason is he is accepted to be the head coach of the Brazil national team. But guys, what this means is that Xabi Alonso is going to be arriving. From what you've seen of Alonso at Leverkusen, what kind of Real Madrid are we expecting next season? Briefly, guys. This wasn't part of the list, but just briefly, or your take on Alonso picking up the Real Madrid job before we move on.
Yes, I think we are going to see a very different Real Madrid as compared to what Carlo Ancelotti was doing with his team. When it comes to the system and formation, we all know Xabi Alonso prefers to go with a three-back system, either with a 3-4-3 or either go with a 3-5-2.
Right.
I've seen games where he has actually switched to a 4-5-1 or gone with a 4-3-3. But at Real Madrid, dependent on the kind of quality they have and the system that he Alonso believes in, I
Mm.
think we might be seeing a different system in the three-back system where you have Dean Hudson at the back line, you can have Chouameni, you can have Alaba, you can have Rudiger all playing from the three-back, wing backs with Alexander Trent, and all that could actually maximize the kind of quality that we've always seen in him in the Premier League in terms of creativity and passing. So it's interesting to see what Xabi Alonso is having in store, but I believe he has two battles to fight. One, to make sure that he outperforms whatever Zinedine Zidane came to do as a legend of the club by coaching Real Madrid. Then
Mm.
number two, he will need to also meet the standards that Carlo Ancelotti created at Real Madrid.
Okay.
There's no way Real Madrid went trophyless for a season under Carlo Ancelotti since his second coming. So this is something he will need to look at and match that particular standard. Aside tactics and formation, what Real Madrid always looks out for at the end of the season is trophies, trophies, trophies. So this is where Xabi Alonso will need to be at his best to deliver at least a trophy every single season when Real Madrid plays.
Also, before I come to Jonathan, Xabi Alonso actually has ended his tenure at Bayer Leverkusen, but his numbers read as follows: 140 games, 90 wins, 31 draws, 19 defeats, 1-9, 19 defeats, 315 goals scored. He's definitely a legend at Leverkusen, but let's see if he's able to replicate that kind of success at Real Madrid, because the intensity there is extremely high. But one of his first demands was Dean Howson, the defender for Bournemouth, and he's gotten him.
Mm.
As a defender, Jonathan, what kind of football are you expecting from Dean Howson at Real Madrid? Do you even think he starts in the
Um,
first place? Because I mean, they've struggled with defensive issues. David Alaba has had to sometimes, deputize at centre back.
mhm.
Rudiger is in there, but has been injury prone sometimes, especially towards the end of the season. They definitely need numbers in there. Do you think Dean Howson becomes a shoe in? He just slots in?
I believe the manager obviously paid close attention to him. They just recruited him, and I believe the coach is in agreement with this recruitment.
Right.
The way he played at
Bournemouth.
Bayern, yeah, no, Bayern Leverkusen
Okay, okay, okay.
is is beautiful to watch. Obviously, they won the league last season, and they sometimes they'll be losing 2-0. They can come back and tie the game or win the game, and it was such a
Bayern
dynamic
never losing.
football. Yeah, and yeah, I loved that. But then the player profile at Real Madrid right now, they might need to tweak a little bit of the way they play. He's going to instill in them the way he wants them to play.
Right.
The Real Madrid, and a lot is expected of them, which it has always been the case. And now bringing in a new manager, he's gonna want to play a certain way that
Mhm.
is different from the way we know Real Madrid plays. So the player profile there now, he might tweak it here and there. He might play Chouameni either on the right of the three center back or the middle or the left. He will know, what to do with them. And I believe bringing in, a player like Hudson, they really, saw something in him that, could be of value to the team. So, but coaching Real Madrid, whether you're a legend or not, that's a huge pressure on you before you even coach your first game. So hopefully, legend coming back, he doesn't need to set the target to do better than Zidane, but be himself and just enjoy the process. And I believe he's going to do that because what Zinedine Zidane did, what Carlo Ancelotti did, it's massive. So he just needs to come there and take it a day at a time. And I believe he's going to do great with the team.
Yeah, it's interesting that you mentioned that. Now we move on from there. We go straight to Carlo Ancelotti, because he is a man that has done a lot in football. He's won in Italy with AC Milan. He's won in England with Chelsea. He's won in Spain with Real Madrid. Now he wants to attempt national team football or international football, and he's decided to join Brazil. But he says he does not want to do that alone. He wants someone who knows Brazilian football. I think that's the morale. That's the whole motivation behind this decision to work with Kaká at the Brazil national team. Akomia, where I don't know if you're surprised when you heard that story, but this is this is a pair that know each other very well. He managed Kaká at AC Milan. He also managed him at Real Madrid. And Kaká also knows Brazilian football. And what's even more important to me is that the entire Brazil respects Kaká. And that could be, a very good thing if you're a national team coach.
Yes, and I think a lot of Brazilians will also respect Carlo Ancelotti for how he has played a massive role in the lives of various Brazilian
Brazilians,
footballers.
exactly.
Yes, you look at Vinicius Junior, Rodrigo Goes, you look at Cafu at some point in time,
Yeah.
you look at Kaká, you look at some key
Ronaldo.
players that he has,
Ronaldo.
Ronaldo.
Yeah.
So he has actually managed Brazilian players so well and gotten the best out of them. And we've seen the best of the best also play under him, even if they are not Brazilians.
Mm.
They will need that particular kind of experience in their national team to manage the kind of quality that they have. And I think the Brazilians have also come to a full understanding that now their game is becoming more European and they will need someone who understands them, has coached them at that particular level to come in and come and manage affairs for them. The old Brazilian kind of jogo bonito football is not quite existent with the national team. There's no free flow. There's no fresh expression of their qualities or talent on the ball after Neymar even moved or got hurt and even was dropped out of the national team. He loved to bring Neymar back. He loves to bring Casemiro back. He loves to bring some of these players who understand what it means to play for the Brazilian national team and give them the freedom to do whatever they want to do. When you look at the history of Jogo Bonito and where it came from and how Brazilians made it their own, the main kind of thing that surrounds that particular kind of football was how the Brazilians who used to be slaves and run away into the bushes used to learn how to dance and use it to fight battles against people who wanted to take them as slaves. So it's more or less like liberation. So coming to Brazil national team as the head coach, this about time they will need to liberate the kind of qualities they have in their national team from Vinicius, Rodrigo, nothing static. Just let them express themselves, few tactics, manage egos, and get the results at the end of the day. I think he's going to do a perfect job. And we know Italians and Brazilians. And we know some Italians that even naturalize for Brazil. We know some Brazilians that naturalize for Italians. There's a strong connection between the two of them. And we've seen it a lot. Jorginho here and there, Elano at some point in time. Even Rafinha made a story some time ago, or spoke about it some time ago, that he nearly naturalized for Italy. So there's a bromance between the two nations, and I think it's a match made in heaven.
Jonathan, your take on Ancelotti to Brazil? I mean, it's been long in the pipeline, but now he's been
Yeah.
confirmed. Kaká is going to be assisting him. The World Cup is next year. Do you think this is a success story?
For now, I believe so. And we know Carlo Ancelotti to be one of the best managers in the world ever. Talk of, we do have coaches and we do have managers.
Yeah.
And he is one of the best managers we've ever seen, because he know how to manage players, not just on the field, off the field. Because talk of superstars, he's coached it all. So getting the likes of Vinicius, obviously we know some things he go through off the field, on the field with the with the racial stuff and all that, but he's done so well in managing those things. So I believe having Kaká also by his side, Kaká is very respected player, and now that he's retired, I believe these guys going to follow his lead, and this is going to be a success story for sure.
Absolutely. Now, at this point, remember, you're still watching FC Pitchside Podcast. Thank you very much for doing the viewing or the listening. If you are listening to us on Apple Podcast or Spotify, my name is Theo, and I'm doing this with Jonathan Mensah and Michael Akomia. We go for a quick break. When we come back, the Serie A will be in perspective as we look at what's happening in Italy and the title race between Napoli and Inter Milan. We might also look at the Dutch Eredivisie before we touch on some Ghana under 20 football. And then from there, it's going to be the quiz. It's going to be interesting today because it's going to be a new blend of questions that these guys haven't been used to in the past. So just stay tuned. It's really interesting going forward.
This is the FC Pitchside Podcast, the first in an exciting lineup of podcasts by Footy Centre. Footy Centre is where you'd read your intriguing opinions and daily stories about football. From Europe's biggest leagues, the Champions League, international matches, and for Ghanaian fans, get closer to your favorite national teams. Powered by Ultra Press Media Company.
Welcome back here to FC Pitchside Podcast with me, Thierry Nyan. And of course, we are discussing European football right now. And currently, we landed in Italy, and that is where that fierce title race is ongoing between Inter Milan and Napoli. And both of them have failed to take some commanding position. Napoli already in a comfortable lead. Well, it's not too comfortable. It's just 1 point off Inter Milan going into this particular match day 37. All games being played simultaneously, and Inter Milan drew 2-2 with Lazio, and Napoli also drew 0-0 in their game against Parma. Now, Akomia, you've always been talking about how Parma would always cause a stir in the Serie. It happened, and none of these two teams have been able to take a commanding position.
Yes, I think when you look at, first of all, the Inter Milan team and how they've gotten some results in the last few games, you begin to question um, how one of their traits have gone away. For example, they defended so well at the first half, during the first half of the season, and you could see they were not conceding a lot of goals. But when you look at the last few matches in the Italian Serie A, they've
Yeah.
been conceding unnecessarily, and sometimes you question yourself as to what is wrong with this particular Inter Milan team. But I think one of the main reasons is they lost Benjamin Pavard at some point, and I think they formed a three-back system that became consistent for them, was giving them results, and it was well balanced, because when you have Acerbi, Bastoni, and Pavard, it's a mix of experience, quality, and intelligence playing at the back line for you, and it can help you actually keep a lot of clean sheets. But unfortunately, they missed out on him due to injury. And you could see Bissek comes in and they are conceding a lot of goals here and then. Dumfries' injury also did not help at some point in time. He comes back, they make sure that they qualify for the Champions League final. But for the league, I think it hasn't been enough to catch up with what Napoli has done in the league by getting some key results at some point in time. But you look at Napoli and how they are getting their results, they actually believe they are in control of their own destiny. And there's no need to panic, which I perfectly agree with them. I think there's no sort of pressure on them, because at the beginning of the season, I don't think anyone actually tipped Napoli to be in the mix of discussion when it comes to who is going to win the league. Because we were all talking about AC Milan, we were all talking about the Inter Milan, we were all talking about Juventus. But unfortunately, Juventus had a change of coach. We've seen AC Milan struggling here and there. And we're actually asking questions about how Napoli were going to survive without Victor Osimhen and Kivicha Kvaratskhelia. But here they are, vying
Yeah.
for the title. And I think they even needed the draw more against Parma at some point in time. They really wanted it. You could see it in their eyes that they needed the draw even more than a win, getting to the latter parts of the game. And you watch Inter Milan and you begin to ask a lot of questions about their mentality getting to the end of the game, where Bissek had to commit a penalty. And I think they will be gnashing their teeth in the dressing room, they'll be biting their nails.
It's interesting that
And,
you mentioned that
and they'll be,
because at halftime, Inter Milan were winning by a goal to nil.
yes, and they
Now,
just come
Lazio
back.
equalized in the 72nd minute.
Yes,
80th minute, Inter score again to make it 2-1. 88th
yes.
minute, Inzaghi
And
is
they
sent off.
concede a penalty. Yes.
Yes, and then
Inzaghi sent off
penalty
and
to Lazio, who
yes.
equalized to, equalize again to draw that particular game. It's a crazy end of that particular
And I
one.
think the whole drama surrounding the Italian Serie A this season has been quite surprising, because I thought someone was going to run away with the league at some point in time, but it looks like it has to
Yeah,
go down to the
yeah,
wire. And
yeah.
I think we have to actually look at the two teams who are competing for the league title and how they've performed. Barcelona fans will be very happy tonight, because I think one of their own have actually gotten the revenge that they wanted. Because you look at Pedro in the second half, he scored 2 goals for Lazio.
Oh, right. That's revenge. That's not help Barcelona in any way.
Yes, it
They out
doesn't
of the
help
Champions League. They should
Barcelona.
mind their business.
It doesn't help Barcelona anyway, but to give them some sort of joy that Inter Milan will actually miss out on the league title, because
Yeah,
their next
possibly.
game is crucial.
Yeah,
Their next game is,
Yeah.
and it's even difficult than Napoli's next game, because Napoli will be playing Cagliari. They are
right.
going away to Como, and today I watched Como
Yeah,
versus Verona. These guys,
yeah,
it's really
yeah,
going to be a tough game
yeah,
for Inter
yeah.
Milan. So I think I still stand by it that Napoli is going to wrap up with this league and win it by next weekend.
Yeah.
Jonah, what's your take on the Serie A title race? It's really interesting this season. Inter Milan
I
against Napoli.
agree. Yeah, I agree with Akomia on that. And I believe the difference was Napoli playing obviously Osimhen and I don't know the name of the guy that left for PSG,
Yeah.
Kava.
Mm,
But they've been playing collectively well, and especially with the recruitment they made with Scott, a unbelievable player. What he's done with the team, like the last 6 or 7 games, he's won like 4 or 5 man of the matches
right.
for the team, and he's playing, unbelievably well. So for the title race to go, all the way to the final day, it's going to be very interesting. But they're playing against, I believe, Cagliari. I think
Yeah,
they
yeah.
they
Yeah.
they're gonna win at home for sure. So I'll give Napoli the nod on that one.
Okay, so away from there, let's now turn our attentions. Actually, guys, a quick question on Simeone Inzaghi and everything he's doing at Inter Milan. I think that he's
Mhm.
one of the most underrated managers. Is it not shocking that when top jobs are available, nobody mentions Inzaghi's name? Is it just me?
I think he's actually moving out of the shadows of his brother. Whenever you mention Inzaghi, it's all about Filippo, Filippo,
Right.
Filippo.
Right.
Yes, but definitely, Filippo used football to regain some kind of respect among the elites and a lot of football fans around the world.
Hmm.
But I think Simone has also used another route, which is quite good for him and churning out results. Because even at Lazio, he used to win the Coppa Italia before moving to Inter Milan, where he has actually won the Scudetto and has qualified for the Champions League final for the second time. I think his work is speaking for him now, and as it stands, he has also made a name for himself and he's actually stepped out of his brother's shadow in this particular aspect of the game. And I'm happy for him. He's doing so well, and I'm happy the world is recognizing him now. I saw his works at Lazio. He's a student of Marcelo Bielsa, so it's no surprise that he's doing so well with Lazio, Inter Milan.
Right. Okay. So now we will move on from there, guys. Let's discuss. Let's actually still in the Italian Serie A. Still in the Italian Serie A. AC Milan will not play in the Champions League next season for the first time in a long while, and it caps what has been a disastrous season for AC Milan. Anyone that's followed them this season just knows how troubled they have been. Some point in January, they decided to recruit, and they recruited an aging man from Manchester City, Kyle Walker, and they recruited someone who is totally missing in football, Joao Felix. I, Bizarre signings, and it hasn't helped them. They are finishing ninth. Sergio Conceição, the head coach, is set to lose his job. Maurizio Sarri, I hear, could be replacing him. At least AC Milan are targeting him. Briefly, what's your take on all of this?
I think first of all, the change that they had with their coaches affected how consistent they were going to be throughout the season. And I think Zlatan Ibrahimovic did not handle that particular situation so well. From Stefano Pioli to another coach, then to Sergio Conceição, you begin to ask a lot of questions that changing three coaches in the season, how do you think you're going to get consistent with results? Each coach and his philosophy and what he expects from his team to deliver on the field of play. And I think that is where the confusion came in, and they could not maximize the qualities of these players to get results for AC Milan. That is the reality of the situation they find themselves in. But I don't think they lack quality. I think they have some good potential in their setup. They have some good players within their setup. But the changes in coaching and all of these things really made them suffer one way or the other to get results.
Right now, let's turn our attentions from there. Jonathan Mensah, I do not know what your thoughts will be on the Dutch Eredivisie. First of all, though,
Mm.
Ajax have bottled, what is happening over there. They could have won the league, but they've bottled it.
Mhm.
PSV have won it for a second season running. What is your take on that? Because Ajax seem to have really fallen. I'm not going to say it's after Kudus left, but it looks like it's after Kudus left.
I'm actually happy for um, the PSV because
PSV.
my agent got a few players in the team,
Oh, really?
and
Oh,
Nice.
yeah. So I was happy. I was happy that they won. Obviously, Kudus isn't with Ajax anymore, so I care less. I'm happy for I'm happy for a few friends that I know in the PSV team. So credit to them because I saw a clip somewhere where one of the Ajax players was holding on to a ball. The ball boy was asking for the ball, he wouldn't give him, And when Ajax conceded, now the ball boy went to offer him the ball, and the
I
goalkeeper
think that
wouldn't
game
take
was
the ball.
against Groningen. Yes, it was
Right,
Groningen.
right. When
Yeah.
they conceded the last minute goal, so it was very funny that happened. But yeah, I'm happy for people that I know that plays for PSV.
It's actually just 1 point. It's very painful for Ajax fans, and Ajax know that they've actually come from hell, considering what last season looked like for them. Last season they were struggling big time. This season they seem to have recovered a bit of their form, but still not enough for them to run away with the title like they always have in seasons past. But let's move on straight to France now, and we all know. I mean, it's been closed there for a long time. Paris Saint Germain have been the champions. They were the champions a long time ago. But thing is, there could be a change in the rules, and it is because, as it is, there are discussions about potential changes to how the league, winner is determined. Specifically, the possibility of introducing playoffs instead of the traditional points-based system. So, the French football authorities are considering this move to create more competition and potentially shake up the dominance of Paris Saint Germain. Now, just so you know what the potential changes could be, is that the reasoning behind it is, it's just going to be made the title race a lot more competitive and exciting, especially given the consistent dominance of Paris Saint-Germain. Some people hate to see PSG continuously win. And so the league is going to become a cup. What this means is that with the current system, the team with the most points at the end of the season is crowned the league and champion, right? But
Right.
going forward, it suggests that the two-leg semi-final format involving the top four teams, with the winner of the semi-finals then competing in
In
the
the
final.
final.
So first will play against third, and then second plays against fourth.
Fourth.
Yeah, and then the winners of the two will meet in the final, and
Ultimate final.
there's going to be an eventual final. So if PSG know how to win the league and AS Monaco know how to win cup games, then what it means is that this is going to be in favor of whoever wins that particular one.
Wow.
But what's your take on that, Jonathan? I'll start with you as a footballer. How fair
Yeah.
or unfair is it for you, the team at the summit, having played 38 games, you've been the most dominant team, and then some reason they say play two more games, and if you don't do well in those two games, you don't win the league.
Yeah. I have actually experienced both sides,
Oh, you
playing in
have
France myself. Yeah, playing in France myself and now playing in the
in the
MLS,
MLS,
with
right?
the
Right. When it
playoff
comes to the playoffs,
format.
yes, 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 yes.
Yeah, I played in France, played in Spain, and so forth. It was direct. You win most points, you win the league. And then obviously playoff was just to stay in the league. Relegation battles where you play some of the second division teams in a playoff home and away, and then you stay in the league or you go to relegation. But now to win the league playoff, it's a little bit strange to me. But being someone that I've experienced that for the past 8-9 years in the MLS, it's a little bit interesting. But in MLS, you win a trophy when you get the most points. It's called the Supporters Shield, and then come in like a couple of weeks time, you play the playoff against teams beneath you. So it's interesting, to be honest with you,
Mm.
for a league that has been the same way for so many years, for them to have a change of mind. It's interesting, but I don't know the reason behind it. Hopefully they voted for it, or they also like want this format. But maybe I don't know if because PSG is winning all the time, and now they need a little bit of a change. But it would be interesting for sure. So looking forward to that.
Akomia, I think it's pretty interesting. Some people like it, others don't. Where do you sit on this fence?
Yes, I think you can look at it from the organizer's point of view, then you look at it from PSG's point of view, because they have been dominant in the French League. When you look at it from the organizer's point of view, I think they feel their competition is on the road to become non-relevant in the long run. And looking at how dominant Paris Saint-Germain has been in the league, and there's nothing that is going to stop them, because when you look at the finances, I don't think Olympique Marseille can compete with PSG when it comes to buying players. I don't think the likes of Saint Etienne and all of these clubs can compete with
Mm.
Paris Saint Germain when it comes to buying quality. So, in this sense, PSG will continue to dominate, buying in the best players and bringing them in, which these players they are buying, they are not actually buying them for the League A. They buy these players to make sure that they can help them to conquer Europe. That is why they find themselves in the final of the UEFA Champions League due to some signings and their impact in the team. And they are even picking up the young best talents in the league from these clubs. They go to Reims, they pick up their best players. They go to RC Lens, they pick up their best player. They just go anywhere, they pick up their best players. So the competitive nature of
Is
the
it their
league
fault they
in
have
the
money? Is it their fault
yes,
they have money? If you have money,
it,
how many houses will you have? How many
it's
companies
not.
will you create?
You see, the same thing was actually
Can the
happening in
poor
the
complain?
Premier League. You see, Terry, the same thing was happening in the Premier League at some point in time when we had Manchester United, Chelsea at some point in time, Arsenal and co. They had more money. They were picking up players from the lower sides. Even when Roman Abramovich came in, if your player performs so, you go toe to toe with Manchester United and get that particular player. Manchester
Right.
United will come to your club, pick up your player, and take him along and go and win the league. But the Premier League decided that no, we are going to find a new way of investment into the league.
Right.
TV broadcasting rights, sponsorships here and there. So now, if Manchester United can buy a 50 million pounds player, Wolverhampton Wanderers can also buy a 50 million pounds player.
Right.
Looking at what they are doing, and they've also
So,
set
so,
the
so,
rules.
so, I agree with you. So the changes can be a wholesome change that
Yes,
pumps money into the
yes,
league and allows everybody to be competitive.
that
But
is
what I
it.
don't agree with personally is how a team that actually dominates a season. I don't really agree with MLS formats. You know,
I think they
you
believe.
build up so many points, but at some point you're like, you know what, you still need to fight with the guy who was 20 points behind you. Come
Yes,
on,
uh,
man.
Terry, I think they believe they are not in the position to secure huge amount of deals for the various clubs in their league. They've had problems even with TV broadcasting before the season started. So I think they want to do one or two things that will make the league competitive. And
Yeah,
at some point in time, they will come back to the normal formats that they used to play with when the
yeah.
money start coming into the league.
Right. Let's quickly have our predictions on Manchester United versus Tottenham Hotspur in the Europa League final. Remember, it's happening this coming week. Before we meet again, the game would have been played. So, Jonathan Mensah, what is your take on Man United? These are the two so-called non-serious clubs this season that are meeting up in the Europa League final. What is your take on who wins?
Oh, it's going to be interesting. But I'm going to be. I'm rooting for Akumia's team.
You're waiting for Akumia's team.
I'm rooting. I'm rooting
Oh,
for
you are
them.
rooting for Akumia's team.
Yeah. I'm
Right.
rooting for them
Right.
because
So you think Man United win? Why? Why though? Why?
I like the young players. Obviously, there's Kobe. That Ghanaian roots. I like Diallo. I like the coach. He wanted to do something with this team, but it's difficult when you inherit a squad like that.
The coach is not good.
Oh my God! Just allow me. Don't do that to Acuna now. That's his team. But yeah, I like the coach. Obviously, from what he did before he came to this team, you cannot say he's not a good coach. He did so well
You are if
from
you are good in Portugal, you need to prove your mettle among the
no,
brethren.
but I mean, going into the Premier League is a difficult league. But
So if you are good, that's
uh,
why it shows. You're not good.
no, I know. But then, you cannot say what's his name, Espirito with Nottingham Forest. Now he didn't do too well with Spurs. You know what I mean?
Because everybody feels as Spurs. Even Mourinho keeper failed as Spurs.
That's what
Conte
I
failed as
mean.
Spurs.
So it's not his fault. He's a good coach, but first season in the Premiership, it's always going to be tough, and hopefully he can bounce back with few good signings for the team. But I'm backing them to win it. The Spurs coach, a little bit strange with some of his comments and interviews and all that. So, but I'm gonna go with Akumia's team. Let's go with Kobe Menu and Diallo. African blood. Let's go.
If Man United lose to Tottenham Hotspur, though, it's going to be really embarrassing because you will be the first club to have given Spurs their first title in
Ooh,
more than
that's
100
true.
years.
That's true.
Akomia, what's your prediction? It might be a silly question, but
Yes,
speak
I'm
with
here
your
to
head,
see
not
it.
your heart.
Oh yes, I'm here to see a team that has beaten Manchester United 4 times in a season.
Ace.
Ooh.
Yes.
Manchester United. Manchester
Uh,
United.
I'm here to
Manchester
see.
United.
To be
What a
very
team.
honest, even in their bad state, I'm here to see a team beat Manchester United 4 times in a season.
Word,
City
word.
could not.
Akomia
City could
love
not
his
even do
team,
it.
man.
Word.
City
The
couldn't do
prophetic has spoken.
it. City
Yeah.
couldn't do it. But I think Manchester United will find a way to win this particular game against Tottenham Hotspur. They are a different breed when it comes to the Europa League, and in finals, they are totally different. These guys, when they decide to turn up, I'm telling you, it's very difficult to play against them. I've seen them.
I think Manchester United are going to win this one because judging from the games they played in the Europa League, I think they've showed different spirit.
Oh yes, oh, yes.
Not exactly the game against Bilbao, because Bilbao ruined the tie in the first leg with the red card. But the game against Lyon, I think it was the best game I'd seen Man United play, or the best extra time game I had seen in you.
And they will definitely find a way to get a result at the end of the day. That is what they do in the Europa League.
And also, they're not playing against Chelsea. You know, they are playing against Tottenham Hotspur. That's what the problem is.
But Thierry, there's one thing I really want to talk about.
Right.
Deep within me, I wish Manchester United don't win this trophy, and they play one game a week in the season. They really need it.
So you think that next season they add the Champions League to whatever tax and responsibilities they have is going to be dire for them? You think because the Champions League?
I think this team is not ready to play 2 competitions or 3.
But they're already playing the Europa League and the league.
I know, and you look at how contrasting the results are.
So you didn't qualify for Europe at all?
I wish this team doesn't qualify for Europe.
Whoever wins this, football has lost, because it's not a good reflection of what a good team has been.
It's a good reflection. Crystal Palace was 12 and won the FA Cup and has qualified.
Crystal Palace have shown good form, and they also beat Manchester City, who have been terrible.
If you are not careful, Bellefield will be playing the Europa League next season because they have a finals to play.
Anyway, we'll move away from that. The producer didn't want to mention this, but I'm definitely going to chip this in, because Chelsea women have beaten Manchester United women by 3-0 and have won the FA Cup final. And what this means is that Chelsea women have completed the treble. It could have been a quadruple if not for that evergreen Barcelona team. But a treble, unprecedented treble, undefeated this season, unbeaten in the league.
Okay,
bro, one day
it could be the men.
But it's always been the men. I mean, the women are now enjoying it. Anyway, guys, it's time. It is time for us to go into the quiz. Guys, are you ready? Now, the flavor is different this time in the quiz. It is not me telling you the trajectory of transfers and you guess the player. This time, this quiz is called the Pitchside Mystery Man. The rules are simple.
Okay.
I have a player written down here. What I want you to do is, I have 3 players, so we have 3 rounds. We are not doing 5 rounds because this might be long per round.
Okay.
You guys are entitled to 20 questions. Anybody can ask any question. Your questions should be intelligent questions that will be narrowing down on the player. Does that make sense? For example, if I pick a player like Asamoah Gyan, what I'm expecting is that you guys will ask me questions like, is he an African? Did he play in the World Cup? Is he a striker? Did he play for a West African country? Did he play for Ghana? Was he coached by this manager? Did he play with this player? Is he retired? Is he still playing? You know, that kind of.
So we are going to be asking these questions.
You will ask me the questions. You can take turns in asking me questions. Jonathan, you ask one. Komia, you ask the other. But it has a limit of 20. And by the 20th, if you still don't have the answer, I have won.
Oh, wow.
It means that I picked a player that you guys could not find. But within the 20 questions, if you guys are able to, if anybody is able to guess, maybe by the 3rd question, Akomia says, "Oh, I know, it's Asamoah Gyan," based on and your question should only elicit yes or no answers from me. You cannot ask me how many goals did he score, but you can ask me, did he score more than 10 goals?
Okay.
Yes or no. So your questions must always have yes or no answers to them. So it starts now. My first player has been selected.
Does he play in Europe?
He did.
Did he play in the Gulf, one of the Gulf countries?
No.
Okay.
Is he a midfielder?
No.
How many years did he play in Europe?
That is a failing question because it's not a yes or no question.
Okay.
Is he a centre back?
Is he still playing?
Yes. That is a brilliant. Who asked if he's a centre back?
Is
Acuna.
he a,
That is a brilliant one. Yes, he's a center. He was a center back.
Okay. Is he still playing?
No, he's retired.
Okay.
Actually, he's still playing. Sorry.
is he an
Oh, okay.
African?
No. 11 questions asked. 9 remaining.
Apart from Europe, did he play in any other continent?
Yes. Yes. That
Is he an European?
No. 7 more questions.
Is he from South America?
Yes. So now you know he's from South America. Now you know he is not a midfielder. You know he's a center back. You know he played in Europe.
Okay, so can you? Oh,
Is he still playing in Europe?
No, he's gone back to South America. Actually, I shouldn't have given you any more.
oh, okay.
I know the player.
You know the player?
Yeah,
Okay. Guess a mystery man.
Thiago Silva.
Thiago Silva is correct.
Wait a minute.
Thiago Silva is correct. That is correct. Okay, so the second player has been picked, guys. Second player has been picked. Your questions can begin again. Don't worry,
Wow.
you can repeat your questions.
Is he a striker?
No.
Did he play in any European tournament?
Yes. European tournament. What do you mean? What do you mean European tournament? Euros
Yeah,
or
there's
Champions League? And is it club or country?
there's Champions League, there's
Yes.
Euros,
Yes,
there's
yes.
Europa League.
2 questions down. 18.
Is he currently playing?
No, he's retired.
Okay. Is he from Africa?
Yes.
Has
A
he
midfielder?
ever gone to the World Cup before?
Yes.
Okay.
A midfielder?
Yes. A midfielder who has played in the European competitions and has been at the World Cup.
And he's an African too, right?
From West African country?
Yes. You can
Left
narrow
Did he
down.
play-
footer, right footer?
You can narrow down how many midfielders have played in the Champions League and have played in the World Cup and are from West Africa. This would be easy.
Kuja Samoa.
No.
Did he play in the Italian Serie?
Muntari.
No.
Oh wow.
Akomia, what's your question?
Did he play in the Italian Serie?
Yes, he did.
Did he play for any of the Milan clubs?
You said striker?
Yes, he did.
He
You
played
said striker?
No, midfielder.
Midfielder. Wow.
and he played for one of the Milan
Played in the
clubs,
World
right?
Cup and then in Champions League.
9 questions asked.
Did he play for any of the Milan clubs?
Yes, I've already answered that.
Is it Kevin Prince-Boateng?
No. It's not Kuja somewhere. It's not Kevin. It is not Muntari.
ACN?
Steven Appiah?
Someone said something right now.
Steven Appiah.
No, it's not Stephen Appiah. Someone
Michael
said
ACN?
Michael Essien is correct.
What?
Michael Essien is correct.
Oh wow. Oh shoot, that's true.
You know, he played for AC Milan
Steven, yeah,
after
that's
playing
true,
for
that's
Real
true.
Madrid. Anyway,
Steven
last
didn't
player
play
on the
for
block.
one or
Last
two.
player on the block. 20 questions.
Acuna won.
Yes, but
You said it's 3 rounds though.
yeah, 3 rounds. But we are doing this last one for Shiggy reasons.
Okay. All right. Dang. So this one is what?
This one is
Oh my God.
consolation prize for you, Jonathan.
Consolation prize.
If you win, consolation. If you don't win, it's even more embarrassment.
Acuna. No, they like it. I already considered Acuna. Now I'm ready. Let's go.
What is this?
I'm ready for you.
You play American football now?
I live in America, bro.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry, bro. I'm sorry.
I live
bro.
in America.
I'm sorry, bro. Anyway, questions begin
Alright,
for this
so
last player.
is
Questions begin
he-
for this last
is-
player.
Is he a striker?
No.
Is he from Europe?
Actually, now I want the questions to be one person take turns. So you ask
One
someone
each.
else.
Okay, got you.
So
Got
Akomia,
you.
your question, please.
A centre back.
No.
Played in the World Cup.
Yes.
Okay.
A midfielder.
Back, played in the
No.
World Cup.
He's not a
Striker.
midfielder. He's not a striker.
He's a
Oh
goalkeeper.
wow.
Yeah, he is a goalkeeper. Just 4 questions asked. This is the last player on the block. Quickly, guys. Let's go.
And did he play in South America?
No.
Okay.
Retired or active?
Active.
Born in Africa?
Come again?
Was he born in Africa?
No.
Okay.
From Europe?
Yes.
Okay. Currently playing in what continent?
I can't answer that.
Uh-oh. You said it's a yes or no question, so you gotta
Yeah, but your
answer
question
yes or
your
no.
question cannot the question you asked me right now, I'm going to give you an answer that is not yes or no.
So still
Oh my
playing
God.
in Europe?
Sorry?
Still playing in Europe?
Yes, still playing in Europe.
Playing for any national team?
Yes, he's still active internationally.
Okay.
Plays in the Premier League?
No.
Okay. Plays in the La Liga?
No.
Okay.
Is he currently a starter in his team?
Ooh, that's an interesting question. Now I have to check. 1 second. Let
Oh
me check.
wow. Even the questionnaire is questioning.
Is he playing?
Oh my.
Is he starting for his team?
Wow.
I believe so, but let me just confirm. I don't want to throw you guys off.
Hmm.
I believe so, but let me confirm. Yes, he's still a starter.
Above 30
He
years?
started their last game. Sorry?
Above 30 years?
Yes.
Hmm.
7 more questions. 7 more questions. 7 more questions with 2 minutes to go.
A German international?
Come here, you are a brilliant boy. Yes.
Akumia, relax. Akumia, relax. What did they do no good? What did they do
He is German.
no good?
He
Wow.
has never played outside of Europe. He's played in European competitions. He's played at the World Cup. He's a goalkeeper. You guys have narrowed it
Manuel
down.
Neuer?
Manuel Neuer is correct. Manuel Neuer is correct.
Consolation prize.
No,
Wow.
I need to know something. Akomia, did you pull the brakes because you wanted Jonathan to answer this one?
Well, because he already won.
Yes, I wanted
He
him
already-
to answer.
Because
He already won.
that last question made me know you knew who it was. You knew who it was. Anyway,
Bro.
guys, thank you
Akumia,
very
they
much.
tease me. Akumia, they tease like that. No.
Anyway, guys, thank you very much. Of course, it's been another exciting episode of FC Pitchside
Bro,
Podcast
if
with me,
the
Thierry.
Akumia way won,
Thank
if
you
be
very
I go
much for
beat
doing
am.
the
I go
listening.
beat
Jonathan
am.
right now is still blabbing in the background, but he's lost the quiz for this episode. He's waiting for Sicho though. Maybe Akomia is too much for him. Maybe it's Sicho he's waiting for. But as we know right now, Akomia has one in the bag, and my producer is going to be tabulating all the winners at the end of our season. We'll be dishing out our own FC Pitchside Quiz Awards. These guys don't know what is coming at them, but I have their addresses, and I'm definitely going to be shipping to them what their winning prize will be at the end of the season. But anyway, of course, it's been an exciting one. Thank you very much for doing the watching on YouTube. Please subscribe and like this video, and of course, if you're listening on Apple Podcasts and Spotify as well, you can follow us and leave us a good rating. My name is Thierry, and I've been doing this with Jonathan Mensah and Michael Akomia. Until next time. Be safe.
FC Pitchside Podcast, part of the Footy Center lineup and powered by Ultra Press Media Company.